One morning, you wake up feeling older than you did the night before. Your body feels a little stiffer. Your energy takes longer to arrive, and you quietly wonder if this is just what life looks like after 65. But what if I told you that you've barely passed the halfway mark? Hear me out. Scientists at Harvard University followed more than 44,000 adults over 60 for 2 decades and discovered something that will blow your mind. They found that seniors who adopted 5 specific morning habits after 65 were able to extend their lifespan by up to 30%, while those who did not saw a faster physical and cognitive decline. So, there is hope. In today's conversation, Japan's oldest doctor will reveal these exact morning habits and will tell you how you can live 30 more years after 65. Welcome back to the Senior Health Podcast, everyone, where East meets West to help you stay strong, clear, and independent after 60. Now hear this. Large Japanese studies show aging is shaped less by genetics and more by daily signals. How we wake up, how we move, how we breathe miss that window, and resilience fades, not from time, but from pattern, and patterns can change. Doctor, welcome back. You have watched those patterns for over a century, right? Thank you, John. And yes, I did. I can tell you that aging is not a countdown. It is a conversation. And every morning the body listens closely. The habits we choose are the instructions that tell it whether to repair or retreat. That really resonates because for so many older adults listening, mornings are when doubt creeps in. You wake up tired. You move slower. And it becomes easy to assume the best years are already behind you. I understand, John, but it is not age alone. It is alignment. I have seen thousands of patients regain strength and clarity when their mornings begin sending the right signals to the brain, the hormones, and the nervous system. So today we will break down 5 science-based morning habits shown to support longevity after 65. And I encourage everyone listening to stay with us because these habits work best together. I am so glad you said that. Many of my patients tell me mornings are the hardest part of their day. And to remind you that you're not alone. Comment a 1 if mornings feel heavy for you and you want to learn how you can change this. Indeed, heavy mornings is what makes people fear they're running out of time. But most are simply missing the signals that tell the body to keep repairing itself. So let us begin there. Before diving into these 5 habits, tell us, why do mornings matter so much after 65, and what is actually happening inside the body when the day begins? Let me explain it this way. After 65, the body is not failing, but it becomes far more responsive to signals. Each morning, hormones, nerves, and circulation are waiting for cues that say it is safe to repair or necessary to conserve. When those cues are missing, the body quietly shifts into protection mode instead of renewal. Over time, that shift looks like aging, even though it is really adaptation. Bronnett, that idea lands deeply because so many of my patients feel as if decline arrives without warning. Yes, and mornings are where that adaptation is decided. While you sleep, the brain clears waste, hormones reset, and the nervous system softens its guard. When you wake, there is a brief window where simple actions can reinforce that healing state or abruptly shut it down. Stress, dehydration, and rushing signal danger, while calm, nourishment, and rhythm signal repair. This is why 2 people of the same age can wake up in the same decade, but live in very different bodies. I even feel that myself. Sometimes mornings feel heavier than they used to, and that heaviness is often the first clue. You have to realize the body has gone hours without water, circulation has slowed, and the brain is asking quietly for support. If that request is ignored, the nervous system tightens, and the day begins in deficit. But when the Ashokub first habit is supportive, the entire system follows with surprising generosity. That makes me wonder what the very first habit should be for most people. Often it is the simplest one and the most overlooked. It happens before movement, before food, and before the mind fully catches up. So it sounds like the body is responding to something very early, before most people even realize the day has started. What is that first signal you usually see people miss? Hydration. John, That first glass of water matters more than most people realize. After 60, the body wakes up slightly dehydrated because thirst signals dull with age and fluid shifts overnight. That dehydration thickens. Circulation just enough to slow oxygen and nutrient delivery to the brain. I see that in clinic when people describe foggy mornings that lift later in the day. Exactly. And the brain feels it first. The kidneys and blood vessels rely on adequate fluid to regulate pressure and flow. And without it, the nervous system stays guarded. A simple calm rehydration tells the body it is safe to open pathways again. That explains why mornings feel so different for many older adults I work with. The key here is simplicity. Water gently restores blood volume so the heart does not strain and the brain does not have to compensate. A 2012 study from the University of Connecticut, published in the Journal of Nutrition, found that even mild dehydration reduced attention and memory performance in older adults. It is not about flooding the system, but about reminding it how to flow. Many of my own patients notice steadier thinking and warmer hands within minutes, not because water is magic, but because circulation wakes up, right? And does this work for anyone? Of course, but be thoughtful. Some people take medications or have conditions where pacing matters, so small sips can be just as effective. The habit is less about quantity and more about intention and timing. When done calmly, hydration becomes an invitation rather than a demand. On the body that makes the habit feel approachable instead of overwhelming. And when the body receives that first invitation, it becomes receptive to the next signal. One gentle cue prepares the system to listen for another. That makes me curious because hydration sounds like an opening, not the finish. So this is the first habit. Doctor, please continue with habit number 2. All right. Once the body feels supported, it starts looking for orientation. Hydration tells the system it is safe, but light tells it where it is in time. After 60, that sense of timing becomes fragile, and the body depends more on external cues to stay in rhythm. That resonates especially when patients describe mornings that feel disorganized or slow. Exactly. Natural morning light reaches parts of the eye that speak directly to the brain's internal clock. That clock regulates hormones tied to mood, blood pressure, and sleep later that night. When light arrives early, those systems fall back into sequence instead of drifting. We hear that many times. Seniors who say their sleep has shifted without explanation. Yes, and the explanation is often quiet. Without early light, melatonin can linger too long and cortisol rises at the wrong time. And we want the opposite. A 2025 study from researchers in Japan found that exposure to morning light can advance the circadian rhythm by up to 1 and 1/2 hours, helping reset the body clock closer to daytime hours rather than letting it drift later. Right. So basically, the nervous system stays half asleep while the day demands alertness. Yes, and that mismatch often feels like fatigue, irritability, or low mood. That helps explain why some people feel better simply sitting near a window. Correct? And timing matters more than duration. A few minutes of morning daylight tells the brain it is morning, not afternoon. This anchors appetite, digestion, and even balance later in the day. Many older adults are surprised that stepping outside briefly can steady them emotionally. I have seen that shift in people who never change their medications. Of course, it is not about chasing the sun. It is about letting the eyes and brain agree on the time of day. When that agreement happens early, the body relaxes into its roles. And once that rhythm is set, the muscles and metabolism are more willing to respond. That makes mornings feel less like a struggle and more like a reset. And here is the quiet part. When light sets the rhythm correctly, the body becomes more efficient at using what comes next. It begins to ask for fuel rather than conserve energy. That makes me think about strength and steadiness, especially in older adults who feel weaker in the mornings. So, if light prepares the system to use fuel, what does the body need next to protect muscle and independence as the day begins? That is where our third habit comes in, which is nourishment. After 60, muscles no longer wait patiently for fuel. Snorts. They begin to thin quietly if the signal is delayed. Morning protein tells the body that strength is still needed today. I see how quickly weakness can creep in when mornings are rushed or skipped. Yes, and timing is everything. In the morning, muscles are more receptive to repair because overnight fasting has primed the system. Even a modest amount of protein early on can slow muscle loss and support balance and posture. Without it, the body borrows from its own tissue. That explains why some patients feel shakier even when they think they eat well overall. Exactly. Many older adults eat most of their protein late in the day when the body is already winding down. In the morning, protein helps stabilize blood sugar, supports brain focus, and gives muscles a reason to stay engaged. It is not about large portions, but about consistency and respect for timing that feels like a small shift with a big emotional payoff. And it is deeply practical. Stronger muscles mean steadier steps, easier rising from a chair, and more confidence moving through the day. I have watched people regain independence simply by changing when they nourish themselves. Strength after 60 is built quietly, one morning at a time. That makes me think about confidence as much as muscle because confidence follows the body. When strength improves, fear recedes, and when fear recedes, movement becomes more natural again. But nourishment alone does not complete the picture. So even with fuel in place, there is still something missing in how the body stays upright and secure. Yes, strength gives potential, but coordination gives safety. The body must remember how to trust itself in space, and for that we should practice another habit that feels important, especially for those who worry about falling. So how does the body relearn that sense of steadiness, and what can people do gently each day to rebuild it without fear? Let me explain it gently. In Japan, we see balance decline not because people stop caring, but because mornings become inactive. After waking, the brain expects small signals to recalibrate posture and space. When the seniors go straight from bed to chair without testing the balance, the brain skips that recalibration. Over time, coordination fades quietly, long before a fall ever happens. I hear that many older adults feel most unsteady right after getting out of bed. Yes, and that is exactly the moment that matters. In my own patients, I encourage one simple morning habit before breakfast. Stand near a counter, place one hand lightly for safety, and shift your weight from one foot to the other for 30 seconds. Then pause briefly on one foot, even for just 5 seconds. That small practice wakes the inner ear, eyes, and stabilizing muscles before fear sets in. That makes balance feel like something you remind the body of, not something you push. Exactly. Japanese rehabilitation studies have shown that brief daily balance practice improves coordination and confidence when done consistently. When seniors do this in the morning, the nervous system stays calmer during movement all day. The body stops bracing and starts trusting itself again. I have seen that confidence change how people walk through their homes, and when balance is reset early, the body relaxes instead of tightening. That relaxation lowers unnecessary tension and steadies blood pressure during movement. But there is something that prepares the nervous system even before balance begins. So there is a habit that comes even before standing up. Please, everyone, stay with me. Doctor, please explain. Yes, we need to talk about the breath. How you breathe it in the first minutes of the morning tells the nervous system whether the day begins in urgency or stability. That feels like the missing foundation. How should seniors breathe in the morning to support steadiness, blood pressure, and the rest of the day? Well, breathing is the fastest way the body decides whether it is safe or threatened. After 60, shallow or rushed breathing quietly keeps the nervous system on alert even when nothing is wrong. That tension shows up as higher blood pressure, unsteady movement, and inflammation that never fully settles. I notice how many older adults hold their breath without realizing it. Yes, and that habit often begins the moment they wake. Overnight, breathing slows. But in the morning, many people rush back into the day without resetting it. The body interprets that as urgency, and the stress response stays switched on. That makes the day feel like it starts behind schedule. Exactly. A slow breathing pattern called extended exhale. Breathing speaks directly to the vagus nerve. I ask my patients to inhale gently through the nose for 4 seconds, then exhale slowly through the mouth for 6 seconds, repeating this for 1 to 2 minutes after waking. This longer exhale calms heart rate, steadies blood vessels, and improves blood flow to the brain before pressure has a chance to rise. Over time, it lowers background inflammation and reduces the need for the body to brace itself. When breathing slows this way, balance improves naturally because the nervous system feels safe again. And many people are surprised how steadiness returns without effort. That's so practical, and I have seen blood pressure readings even soften simply from doing this. Breathing is not exercise, yet it prepares the body for movement better than tension ever could. It creates a baseline of ease that carries into walking, thinking, and reacting. When mornings begin this way, the body stops fighting the day. That sense of ease feels like a thread connecting everything we have talked about. It is a threat. Hydration opens circulation. Light sets rhythm. Nourishment supports strength. Balance restores trust. And breath weaves them together. None of these habits work alone, but together they create a clear morning message. That framing makes the routine feel purposeful rather than demanding. Yes, please listen closely, everyone. The body does not need perfection to respond. It only needs a consistent signal that says today is worth supporting. That leaves me reflecting on how small these choices are and how large their impact can be over time. When people listen back to their mornings, how do they begin turning these habits into something steady and personal they can actually live with day after day? It begins with choosing one calm morning and listening instead of rushing. You do not need to change everything, only the first signals you send. When those signals are clear, the body responds with steadiness and quiet strength. Just tuck to be perfect. Only a chance to begin the day with intention. Exactly, John. Now let me close it for once. To everyone listening, please leave us with a like and a comment and subscribe to the channel. Oh, and watch this next video right now. Music. Yes, please. We've picked this one especially for you.